Okay, today was supposed to look different. I had a full filming day planned. Guest was confirmed, everything was set, and at the last minute, they couldn't make it. And here's the thing, I had a choice in that moment. I could spiral, I could stress, I could let an expensive filming day fall apart, or I could pivot. And the reason I could pivot, without panic, without losing the thread, is exactly what this episode is about. Because most people can't do that. And the reason has nothing to do with social media strategy. It has everything to do with what is happening in your personal life. I've been coaching for a long time. Business clients, students, corporate professionals in high-stress government and executive roles. And across every single one of those contexts, I see the same pattern. Your personal life and professional life are always linked, always. And if you're stuck on social media right now, if you're posting and not growing, building and not scaling, I want you to stay with me. Because we're gonna go somewhere most creators are not willing to go today. Let's get into it. Here's what I've observed across 21 years of teaching, 5 years of social media, and every coaching client I've ever worked with. Your personal life is always the last thing to manifest. And the reason is simple. Most people pour their confidence, their hustle, their drive into their job, into their professional life, because that is where they feel certain. That is where they have proof they can perform. So the personal falls to the wayside. And for a while that works. You keep moving, you keep producing, you keep showing up, but then things start to slip. Friendships, health, relationships, family. The things you told yourself you would get to later. And what happens next? And I've watched this happen over and over again, is that the professional starts to suffer too. Because the universe is not going to keep letting you ignore the personal. It will use the thing that is going well to get your attention about what needs to change. Most people avoid that signal until they get pushed out, until the job they gave everything to suddenly doesn't want them back, until the thing they thought was their level of success turns out to be a ceiling they've built themselves. Now bring this to social media. If you're treating your content like a job, something outside of yourself, something you perform, your audience is going to feel that. They're going to feel the desperation. They're going to feel the inauthenticity. Not because you're faking your topic, you may genuinely love what you teach, but energy is real. Intentions show up on camera whether you want them to or not. And right now, in a creator economy where 4% of creators are making over $100,000 and everyone else is averaging around $3,000 a month, the people chasing the money without the alignment are visible. You can see it, I can see it, and your audience can see it too. And it's disengaging. I've seen this in clients. I've felt it myself. You start to gain momentum and something in you pulls back. Because if this works, if you actually become more successful, what does that mean? What gets added to your plate? What changes? It sounds like this. What am I gonna worry about when I have nothing to worry about? And so we keep ourselves stuck, not because we don't want success, but because we have not made peace with what success actually looks like. Most of the frameworks being sold out there right now are not designed to help you work through that. They're designed around someone who's already cleared those blocks. And I will say something that might sound harsh. A lot of what is out there is built on a gym membership model. They want you to show up. They don't necessarily need you to actually grow. Because if you grow past their level, you stop needing them. My coaching works differently, and anyone who's ever worked with me knows this. I don't chase clients. I don't pressure anyone. When someone comes to me, it's because they're ready for real talk, not fluff, not a framework that worked for someone else at a completely different stage of their journey. Here's the other thing I see constantly, across students, across business clients, across creators. Everyone wants a quick fix, and I understand it. We live in a world that has trained us to expect fast results, fast change, fast growth. But when you try to force fast change, you create resistance. The more you try to grip something, the more it pushes back. Desperation creates friction. That's not woo, that's mechanics. And this is where I have to separate two kinds of energy, because people confuse them all the time. Passive energy says, I'm open, I'm ready. When the right thing comes along, I'll go for it. Active energy says, I'm gonna create the conditions. I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna put myself in the path of what I'm building toward. These are not the same thing. I say this about love, and I'll say it about social media in the same breath. You can't sit on your couch and declare yourself open to a relationship and expect love to find you. It doesn't work that way. And you can't post 3 times and disappear for 2 weeks and expect the algorithm to find you. It doesn't work that way either. You have to make yourself open. You have to create the energy that brings the opportunity in. You have to be willing to get triggered, get uncomfortable, get better, and then show up again. When I work with students and clients on passion projects, the process has a structure. You start with the central truth, the idea you want to build around, the problem you're here to solve. Then you ask every question you can think of about that truth. Not 10 questions, not 20, hundreds of questions. You look at every angle, you do the research, you sit with what you find. You let more questions come, and eventually, through that process, you build something real, something that can hold weight. But most people want to skip that. They want someone to hand them a step-by-step plan and tell them exactly what to do. And when it doesn't immediately produce results, they pivot. They try something else. They pivot again. That is not strategy. That is panic dressed up as action. Trust the process doesn't mean sitting on the fence waiting for an answer. Trust the process means staying in active motion while the process unfolds. It means being willing to be messy, being willing to make mistakes and learn from them without shame. Social media is not about perfection. People don't want to see perfection. There's a reason trash TV works. We want to see that real people have real struggles. We want to see the mess and the recovery, not the highlight reel. I have a client, a friend, an artist, genuinely talented. The kind of work that stops you when you see it. And she doesn't want to get on camera. She wants people to see her art, but she doesn't want to show herself. And I keep telling her, why would anyone buy your art if they don't know who you are, if they don't know your story? Because people don't buy things from strangers. They buy from people they feel connected to. They buy from people whose journey they've been a part of. Everything I've built with my community came from vulnerability, from being willing to share what I went through after I processed it. After I earned the hindsight, I went through a spiritual awakening, boundary issues with my family that took years to understand. The death of my grandparents, a $100,000 house flood, my marriage ending in divorce, and having to navigate being back out in the dating world while rebuilding everything from the ground up. My father's dementia and Parkinson's, and eventually losing him. A job I loved that was no longer meant for me, and the terrifying process of letting it go. None of that was comfortable to share. All of it built the community I have now. Because the moment I got vulnerable, the moment I stopped performing and started being real, people started showing up. The right people. People who were actually aligned. There's a version of this that plays out in the dating world too, and it's the same principle. I used to show up in relationships with push energy, trying to fix, trying to problem solve, trying to make it work through sheer force. And I kept attracting people who couldn't show up fully, people who were emotionally unavailable. The moment I understood that I was also unavailable, just in a different way, everything shifted. The moment I stopped pushing and started being genuinely open, the quality of who came into my life changed completely. You attract what you are, not what you want. That is as true on social media as it is in love. Have you ever watched Survivor, Big Brother, any of those shows where alliances form and break and reform? Watch what happens in the middle of the game. You have your elite group at the top. They tend to stay together. They protect each other. They're disciplined about who they align with. Then you have the bottom, and then you have the middle. And the middle, the mid-tier, they are constantly flip-flopping. Aligning up, aligning down. Trying to attach themselves to whoever has the most power in the moment. Splitting their loyalty, never consolidating. And I always think, if the middle would just rally together, if they would just find each other and stay committed to that alliance, they would have more power than anyone else in the game. That is the amplification gap in social dynamics. Mid-tier creators are doing the same thing. Running toward whoever has the biggest following. Trying to borrow proximity from the top. Splitting their focus, never consolidating around each other. The structural power is in the middle. It has always been in the middle. We just keep giving it away. That is why this channel exists. Not to sell you a high-ticket program that keeps you dependent. Not to pressure you or chase you or convince you that my framework is the only one that works. I don't chase clients. They come to me when they're ready. Because what I offer is real talk for people who are done with fluff. I'm here to rally the troops, to help the mid-tier recognize the structural advantage they're sitting on and actually use it. I want to close with one reframe on a word that gets thrown around so much it's almost lost its meaning. Consistency. Social media will tell you consistency means posting every day, showing up on a schedule, never missing a beat. That is not what I mean when I say consistency. My version of consistency is this. You show up and you stay true to yourself even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's not working yet, even when no one is watching. Nobody's gonna do this for you. I can't do this for you. No coach, no matter how much you pay, can do it for you. You can watch every video on YouTube. You can buy every course. You can fill every notebook with strategy. None of it will move without the inner work. It's taken me almost 10 years to get to where I am. And I'm not saying it's gonna take you 10 years. That is actually the whole point of why I'm building this in public. To help you get there faster than I did. To show you what I wish someone had shown me. So let me ask you this one thing before you go. Are you in the old or are you in the new? Are you still operating from the version of yourself that needed the quick fix, the forced result, the bored proximity? Or are you ready to do the actual work? The uncomfortable, vulnerable, worth it kind of work of building something real. Because if you're ready for that second thing, you're in the right place. I'm building this in real time. Every step, every pivot, every day I have to figure it out on the fly, like today. Follow along, subscribe so you don't miss a single step. Watch me build, watch me.